Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Alfa Romeo Tonale to the Dodge Hornet. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Doug Smith Dodge Ram here in Spanish Fork, Utah for giving me some time with this Hornet. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Hornet is a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and then 29 on the highway, with power outputs being 268 horsepower and then 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, powering the Tonale is a turbocharged 1.3-liter 4-cylinder paired to a 6-speed automatic and a hybrid system. Total system output is 285 horsepower and then 347 pound-feet of torque, with the fuel economy rating without any hybrid assist being 29 miles per gallon combined. And then once you take into account hybrid assist, we have an MPGe rating of 77. Now, before we go over the front ends, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, starting off with the Hornet, you guys can see the distinctive hood vents there. And then coming down below, notice we've got reflector LEDs for the lights. And then you guys can see the whole kind of like front end slash grille design, pretty aggressive. And when we pop over to the Alfa, you notice that there are a lot of similarities, but there are also differences. So first off, if you look at the hood, we have no venting, so a little bit of a cleaner design. And then although the headlight housing is the same shape, the lights are different. You guys can see projector for the bulbs, and look at the daytime running lights. And then the grille is completely different as well. And so either way, let me know which front end you think looks best. Now, turn wheel setup with the Hornet is 235, 40, 20 in the front and over in the rear. And then you guys can see here with the car, we've got the red brake calipers, which I think look really cool. Now, notice that the fender flares and all of the bodywork on the bottom is unpainted. Of course, got the Hornet badge there. And then here is your full side profile with the Hornet. And jumping over to the Alfa, guess what? Exact same tire and wheel setup, 235, 40, 20 in the front and over in the rear. And we have the red painted brake caliper, but obviously it has the Alfa logo on it. And then the wheel design completely different. And then you notice that these are painted, and then also the bodywork here on the bottom, and then the mirror caps is also blacked out. Well, actually the Hornet has blacked out mirror caps too, so that's actually the same. But anyways, here's your full side view with the Tonale. Now, taking a look at the key fobs, you guys can see the functionality on them is the same, but they look completely different. You got the Dodge key fob versus the Alfa key fob. Now, popping into the rear with the Alfa, storage space is actually really solid. We've got a little 12 volt there in the back, and then we have a cargo cover. And I want to see under the loading floor because it looks like we do have the battery back here. Now, the storage space in the back of the Hornet is identical underneath the loading floor. However, there is not a battery, so you actually have more storage here in the back of the Hornet than you do in the Tonale just because of the battery under the floor. Also, this is not power, whereas the Alfa is. Now, when we look at the rears of both the vehicles, this is where there's a ton of similarities. You guys can see here, again, the taillight design is unique to both of them, but also, like, especially here on the edge, very similar, but then the center things go a little bit apart in terms of the overall design. But yeah, I mean, when you see these next to each other, you can tell that they're sibling vehicles. Now, inside of the back seat of the Alfa, legroom's good. Got a little storage pocket here, some vent action, USB action as well. And then I want to pay attention to the material use here on the door panel and everything, see if that feels any different with the cars. I do want to mention these seats in the Alfa, very premium looking, that is for sure. And of course, we have a cup holder armrest, which is always cool. And then headroom back here, I'm almost touching the top. Now, of course, legroom is the same, and when it comes to material use on the door panel, it does feel different, but I wouldn't say that the Hornet feels bad by any means. It still feels really nice, and both of them are hard touch here at the top. Now, although these seats technically aren't as nice, I do think they look a little bit cooler compared to what we have in the Alfa. Now, before we move on to the next feature, we need to talk about today's video sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Now, believe it or not, the modern world is actually a pretty treacherous place. Every single time you go out for a drive, there's a chance that you could get into an accident. You could be walking in front of a business, they could have something on the ground, and you could slip and fall and hurt yourself. And on top of that, you could just be doing your job, right? Like you always do, and something could happen and you could sustain a major injury. This is a topic that's very important to me personally because I drive about 40,000 miles per year for the channel. And so there are a lot of situations that I'm put in on a day-to-day basis where accidents almost happen. Now, knock on wood, nothing's happened for years, but there's always the chance that something could happen. And this is where Morgan & Morgan comes into play. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 100 offices, over 800 lawyers, and over 4,000 case staff that are all ready to help you out. And one of the best parts about working with Morgan & Morgan is that things like the negotiations, the court hearings, and the research associated with putting together a case are all free unless you win. And so if you're involved in some kind of personal accident, whether it be a car accident, a slip and fall accident, or an accident at the workplace, then you might want to get help from Morgan & Morgan. And on a little bit of a side note, don't feel bad about hiring an attorney. Remember that you're suing the insurance company that is worth billions upon billions of dollars. They can more than pay for the compensation that you deserve. So if you are injured in an accident, then you can check out Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy, or you can give them a call at #529, that is pound law. Again, www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy or pound law. So quickly, I take back my door comments. I just felt the door panels back to back, and they feel the same when it comes to material use. Anyways, Harman Kardon sound system here in the Alfa. Got blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. And with the steering wheel, we have Alfa's really cool design. So you can see you've got like the perforated section right here, giant paddle shifters there on the back. Stop start button, of course, on the steering wheel. And then you got practical stuff like adaptive cruise control, volume controls, all of that normal stuff. And then here's a quick look at the gauge cluster. Obviously, it is going to have hybrid information. We have 31 miles of full electric driving range with the Alfa. Again, that's actually really good for a plug-in hybrid. And then another thing is we have a 360 camera system as well here with the Tonale. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, we'll kind of compare this to the Hornet, but it does respond really well. I like how you have a little Tonale there at the bottom. And then you can see here with the padding on the dash, got your climate controls down below. Drive mode select right here. You can also adjust the suspension as well. And then got your wireless phone charging pad in front of that. Shifter for that 6-speed automatic. And then you have your e-save button right here, again for the hybrid system. Got stuff like parking assist as well. And you can see the cup holder action here. Center console's pretty small actually, but I like the armrest here. It looks pretty cool. And then we do have a panoramic center, or not a panoramic, sorry, it's kind of like a in between. It's a little bit bigger than a regular, but not quite panoramic. And as you can see with the Hornet, the door panel is the same, but we don't have as premium of a sound system. We do still have blind spot monitoring, and if we look at the steering wheel, it is identical except for the fact that we have a sport mode button instead of a engine stop start button on the steering wheel, but all the other controls are the same. No paddle shifters there on the back. And then you can see the gauge cluster. I mean, other than the fact that it has a Dodge logo and a Hornet logo, it's super similar. Obviously shows different information because this one's not a hybrid. And then we actually still have a 360 camera system in this as well. And you can see the infotainment system also the same. They both have heated seats, dual zone climate, heated steering wheel, no ventilated seats in the Alfa. And then you guys can see here the trim. I mean, the trim of the dash literally feels the same too. And then climate controls down below, engine stop start here instead of the drive mode select in the Alfa. And then you guys can see the extra storage down there. Shifter, I mean, this is all the same. Obviously, you don't have our e-save because this one's not a hybrid. But yeah, I mean, the rest of this, I mean, it is literally like all the same. No sunroof in the Dodge though. When it comes to pricing, the Dodge stickers for just under $39,000, the Alfa stickers for just under $59,000. So there is a $20,000 price difference between these two cars. Let's drive them and sum things up. Well, we're going to start off in the Hornet and then we'll do the Alfa second to see if they drive different, which I do think there should be some driving dynamic differences between them because we've got just a turbo 4-cylinder versus a hybrid turbo 4-cylinder. So I imagine there is going to be some level of difference. But first off, starting in the Hornet, I also noticed that this has manual seats, whereas the Alfa has power adjustable seats. So there is that difference. And yeah, the dash is the same. So what I've noticed with this comparison, material use wise, is all of these touch points and all of this and everything, it's all the same. The difference is the seats. The seats are different. The Alfa has like those nice leather seats. This has these seats, which I think look cool, but they're not as nice material-wise as what you have with the Alfa. So there is a little bit of a benefit on the side of the Alfa when it comes to seats. But outside of that, yeah, the interiors feel, the material use, like it's, I mean, at least touch point wise, it feels identical with both of the cars. Yeah, definitely good torque out of the engine right off the bat. So just for video length purposes, we're gonna keep this driving pretty short, but good torque out of the engine, that's for sure with the Hornet. It's a pretty seamless powertrain. It'll be interesting to see the difference between how this 9-speed performs in the Hornet, and then, you know, compare that to obviously the 6-speed that is in the Alfa Romeo, because, you know, again, completely different powertrain setup. Okay, so summing things up with the Hornet, it has a great powertrain. I think it's really fun and responsive, and that wasn't even in the sport mode. Now I got it in the sport mode here. Yeah, so super fun, responsive powertrain. Handling dynamics with this are great. Like, it's a great, you know, fun, enjoyable crossover for an enthusiast. Let's pop in the Alpha. Setting off in the Tonale, and I can tell you there's already a couple things that are very different. First off, we're in full electric mode, so like we don't have any gears or any turbo lag or anything to contend with right now. It's just smooth power. Seats are more comfortable in the Alpha, that is for sure. Again, the size of the seat, the cushioning and everything's all the same. It's just having the leather, it's a softer surface that you're sitting on, so the seat feels more comfortable. Aside from that though, now we're gonna pop it into dynamic. You do have adjustable suspension in this, whereas with the Hornet, it's fixed. So there is that other key difference as well. Let's see what the acceleration's like here in the Alpha. You know, honestly, it's really good. It doesn't seem like it's like quicker though. Yeah, so here's another acceleration. I mean, it's quick. It's definitely quick. I just don't know if it necessarily, like the seat of your pants acceleration, I don't know if it necessarily feels like it is any quicker with the Tonale versus the Hornet. Okay, to summarize, the handling dynamics feel very similar between both of them. Same thing with the acceleration, although obviously having the hybrid assist on this is really cool in my personal opinion. And so here's what I have to say. So with the Tonale, I think that there's like a leasing credit that's like equivalent to the federal tax credit, $7,500. I might be wrong. Do your own research on that. But if there is that credit of $7,500, that would obviously bring this price down quite a bit and make it closer in line with the Hornet. But the way that I see it personally is, you know, there's so much carryover between both of the cars. I do understand that they're going after two completely different demographics, but like for me, as someone who's just purely a value person, like that's all I care about is value, I lean more towards the Hornet because, you know, although I like the styling on this Alfa Romeo more, I like the seats in this Alfa Romeo more, I like the hybrid more, $20,000, and even if it's less than that, even if it's, you know, $13,000, because let's say you get the tax credit, $13,000 is a lot of money. And so let me know which one you would choose. But me as a value person, I kind of lean more towards the Hornet, but I do think the Alpha looks cooler.